Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. I'm very, very happy to be amongst all of you again after a long time. My name is Acyuta Arjunasakha, and I'm a friend of Prabhu. I think we have had some interactions earlier. I can see some familiar names also. Congratulations to all of you for having remained rather so enthusiastic in Krishna consciousness for such a long time. So on this note, let's quickly begin today's session with a short kirtan. Hare Krishna. If you can hear me clearly, and if you can see me properly,
yes, Prabhuji.
Give the confirmation by raising your hands.
Prabhuji, the video and the audio is proper.
Okay. Let's do a short kirtan. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhav Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Radha Madhav Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana, Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana, Yamuna Tiravanachari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana, Yamuna Tiravanachari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Gandharvika Giridhari, Gandharvika Giridhari, Gandharvika Giridhari, Gaura Hari. Jaya Gandharvika Giridhari, Gandharvika Giridhari, Gandharvika Giridhari, Gaura Hari. Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Ananta Dehe. Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Ananta Dehe. Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Srila Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Srila Gurudev. Hare Krishna. Let's begin today's discussion. I was told that I have to discuss something about Lord Ram. Let's see what inspiration comes. I would like to pray my spiritual masters, Prabhupada, the Guru Parampara, and ultimately Lord Ram, Lord Lakshman, Mother Sita, Hanuman, and all the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to kindly bless so that whatever we discuss here may be of some spiritual value, maybe of some spiritual assistance to all of you and even to me. seeking blessings at the lotus feet of all my seniors and all the assembled devotees, I would like to offer this session for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. And I will do that officially by chanting the pranam mantras. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padikamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswata Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinakarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Harihi Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Lot many devotees. Don't know if I know all of you or not. At least I'm just scrolling the name list to see if I have some friends here. Certainly Sri Ram Prabhu is a friend. Okay. So I thought I will start today's discussion by reading a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, which sets the mood for this discussion. So I will share my screen. Hope you are able to see my screen now. This is from the 9th canto, 11th chapter, shloka number 20. This mood or this verse not only will set the mood of this session, but will also help us to understand the essence of the pastimes of Lord Rama. The pastimes of Lord Rama is an ocean. For that matter, all the incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, their pastimes are Punya Shravana Kirtana. They are a nectar, ocean of nectar, and nobody knows the end of this ocean or the beginning of this ocean. So we can certainly not cover the pastimes of Lord Ram. We can certainly take some aspects of his pastimes and try to relish it. Every time wherein there is discussion of the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, there are two aspects to this discussion. The first aspect is the Katha aspect, where we hear what are the Leela or what are the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of God. That talks about the sweetness of the Supreme Lord, basically. And the other parallel aspect to every Katha is the lessons or the principles which we can derive from that Katha or from that pastime. So these principles are essentially the learnings which we get from the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. And these learnings make us realize how great is the Supreme Lord. They talk about the greatness of the Supreme Lord. So if somebody is only discussing the principles, and not discussing the Katha aspect. It's not a good balance. And sometimes I see that people stress so much upon the Katha that they forget the principles. So then the cleansing of heart doesn't happen. So we need to make a right balance between the sweetness of the Lord and the greatness of the Lord. So this verse sets the mood of today's session. And it is basically, this verse itself is the essence of the pastimes of Lord Rama. So this verse says, Nedam yasho raghupate surayan surayach nayat yatta leelatanor samya vimukta dhamnah raksho vadho jaladhi bandhanam pugaihi kim tasya shatru hanane kapayah sahayah nedam yasho raghupate surayach लीलातनोर अधिक साम्य विमुक्त धाम्नः रक्षो वधो जलधि बंधमस्त्र पूगैः किं तस्य शत्रु हनने कपयः सहायः. So, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is saying, or the verse of Srimad Bhagavatam says, Lord Ramchandra's reputation for having killed Ravana with a shower of arrows at the request of the demigods and for having built a bridge over the ocean does not constitute the factual glory of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Ramchandra, whose spiritual body is always engaged in various pastimes. Lord Ramchandra has no equal or superior, and therefore he had no need to take help from the monkeys to gain victory over Ravana. Please try to understand the essence of this translation. As stated in the Vedas, Shvetashvatara Upanishad 6.8, Nataskaryam karanam cha vidyate, natat samash chabhyadhikascha drishyate, parasya shaktir vividhaiva shruyate, swabhaviki jnana bala kriyacha. The Supreme Lord has nothing to do. Please take note, the Supreme Lord has nothing to do, and no one is found to be equal or greater than Him. And everything is done naturally and systematically by His multifarious energies. The Lord has nothing to do. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. And whatever He does is His pastime. The Lord has no duty to perform or oblige anyone. Nonetheless, He appears to act to protect His devotees or kill His enemies. Of course, no one can be the Lord's enemy, since who could be more powerful than the Lord? There is actually no question of anyone's being His enemy. But when the Lord wants to take pleasure in pastimes, He comes down to this material world and acts just like a human being, thus showing His wonderful, glorious activities to please the devotees. His devotees always want to see the Lord victorious in varied activities. And therefore, to please Himself and them, the Lord sometimes agrees to act as a human being and perform wonderful, uncommon pastimes for the satisfaction of the devotees. Translation once again. Lord Ramchandra's reputation for having killed Ravana with a shower of arrows at the request of the demigods and for having built a bridge over the ocean does not constitute the factual glory of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Ramchandra, whose spiritual body is always engaged in various pastimes. Lord Ramchandra has no equal or superior, and therefore He has no need to take any help from the monkeys to gain victory over Ravana. So what we can understand from this verse, the point which we can understand here is that whatever happens and whatever we perceive as a conditioned living entity as the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his various incarnations is just his pastime. Being conditioned in nature, sometimes we have some struggles in understanding those pastimes. Because we are conditioned, because we are limited to our experiences of this material world, we sometimes put the Lord in the same footing as us and try to judge him. Many people say, oh, Lord Ram, he banished his wife, he's not an ideal person, this, that. We put him on the same footing as us. So the way to understand the pastimes of Lord Ram or Lord Krishna or any other incarnation for that matter is through devotion and under the guidance of the previous authorities or the previous acharyas. Today is Sunday. Yesterday was the appearance day of Ramanujacharya. He's a very, very great acharya. How many of you know Ramanujacharya? All those who know, please raise your hands to confirm. Do you know who is Ramanujacharya? 1, yes, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. Yes, see. All of you know already. So Ramanujacharya is a great acharya of the Sri Sampradaya. Yesterday was his appearance day. So I was thinking to discuss the Lord Ram's pastimes somehow in relation to Ramanujacharya. You can lower your hands now, please. Everybody. Okay. So, who is Ramanujacharya? Essentially speaking, Ramanujacharya is the incarnation of Lakshmana. And in his pastimes, Ramanujacharya went to his teacher, whose name was Sri Shailapurna. In Tirupati, Sri Shailapurna was explaining him the essence of Ramayana or the essence of the pastimes of Lord Ram. So in the memory of Ramanujacharya, whose appearance day was yesterday, I have taken some aspects from the discussion between Sri Shailapurna and Ramanujacharya, which happened at Tirupati. Many times this discussion is called by various names, but one of the common names of this discussion is Artha Panchakam. So many aspects have been covered in this discussion, but briefly we will try to present the essence of this discussion today. Basically, we will see various aspects of the pastimes of Lord Ram, what he did, what his devotees did, and what lessons can we extract from their dealings or their behavior or their conduct, their devotion towards Lord Ram, how we can get inspired by that. And everything is based on the discussion between Ramanujacharya and Sri Shailapurna. So welcome to this discussion or the synopsis of the discussion between Sri Shailapurna and Ramanujacharya at Tirupati. This kind of discussions are very, very potent. Srimad Bhagavatam is very potent because it is coming down in parampara. Shukdev Goswami is telling to Parikshit Maharaj, and that is being heard by Suta Goswami. Suta Goswami is later telling it to the sages of Naimisharanya. And actually, whatever Shukdev Goswami is telling to Parikshit Maharaj has actually been told by Maitreya Rishi to Vidura at many places in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam is a conversation inside a conversation inside a conversation. And because people are simply repeating that conversation, every time it is repeated, a newer rasa or a newer mellow gets added. So I hope and I pray that when we discuss this discussion between Sri Shailapurna and Ramanujacharya, we'll get the bliss of that conversation, which by the mercy of Ramanujacharya and Sri Shailapurna, we will get the same bliss which they were experiencing. The Srimad Bhagavatam says, Pravishta karnarandhrena swanam bhava saroruham dhunoti shamalam Krishna Shalilasya yatha sharat. This is there in the second canto of Bhagavatam, chapter 8, shloka number 5, I think. It says that the sound incarnation of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul, enters into the heart. Pravishta Karana Randhrena. How does it enter? It enters from the potholes of the ear. Karana Randhra. Swanam Bhava Saroruham. And it sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationship. And then what he does, Krishna, when he enters our heart, he finds that this heart of this conditioned living entity is reeking with lust, greed, anger, illusion, enviousness, and attachments from time immemorial. What to do? Krishna doesn't like to be in a dirty place. So what he starts doing? Dhunoti Samalam Krishna. Krishna himself starts cleansing the dust of material association, the dust accumulated by the association with the modes of material nature since time immemorial. And Salilasya Yathasharat. Just like in the month of autumn, when the first rain comes, a very supernatural incident happens. I feel many of you may have observed it also. All the lakes and water bodies, they become crystal clear just by one shower of rain. This does not happen throughout the month of autumn or before the month of autumn. Only the first rain which comes in the month of autumn has this supernatural phenomena where everything becomes crystal clear. So simply by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, simply by sitting here and simply by hearing this message of Krishna consciousness, these pastimes of Lord Ram, these pastimes of the devotees of Lord Ram, this transcendental conversation between Ramanujacharya and Sri Shailapurna, simply by hearing this, we will make advancement leaps and bounds in the path of bhakti. So following in the footsteps of these great devotees, let's begin our discussion. I would like to discuss a few aspects. The first aspect which I would like to discuss is who is Lord Ram? This is a very, people may be feeling, you have assembled for, and you are asking who is Lord Ram? Yes, I am asking who is Lord Ram because knowing Lord Ram theoretically and knowing Lord Ram factually, there's a difference between the two. There is a difference between Jnana and Vijnana. Difference between knowledge and realized knowledge. So, the answer is Lord Ram is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is Bhagwan. This sounds very simple, but it takes time to percolate. Even great devotees couldn't understand this. Bhava is asking Krishna in the Srimad Bhagavatam that, my dear Lord, Purna Purushottam Bhagwan Shri Krishna, every day in Dwarka I have seen 33 crore demigods. They come, they take out their mukut, their kirit, and then they offer obeisances to you every day. But still, I'm feeling very bewildered that when you appeared as Lord Ram in a previous yuga, although you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead and although 33 crore demigods are taking offering their obeisances to you every day on a daily basis, taking out their mukut and helmets, crowns, how is it that you were taking help from monkeys and bears and you were listening to their strategies and you were actually following those strategies also? How is it? It's very bewildering. What are you? Sometimes I don't even understand what you're doing. You're simply taking their service. So this is the essence of what Sri Shailapurna is trying to explain to Ramanujacharya, that Lord engages us in his service and he is merciful in that way. So sometimes a person whose faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not very strong, he may see some pastimes like, okay, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and he has been asked on the day of his coronation, he has been asked to leave Ayodhya and go to the forest for 14 years. Why is he not able to do something? If he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Maya Dhakshena Prakriti Suyate Sucharacharam. All the modes of material nature are working under my jurisdiction and direction. Sarvasya Chaham Hridhi Sannivisham, of anything. And He owns everything. Bhutanam gyatva mam shantim rakshati. Krishna says, I am the enjoyer of all sacrifices. And I am the owner of all the demigods and all the planets. Proprietor of all the planets. So I own everything. So when a conditioned living entity, driven, bewildered by the materialistic desires, tries to do something, that is called karma. But when the Supreme Personality of Godhead does something, it is just for the pleasure of his devotees and for the purpose of enjoying some mellow or some rasa. He doesn't do it to achieve anything. He doesn't do it to fulfill something. He just does it because he has to. He just feels like doing it, so he does it. Just like a rich man. A person who is rich, when he wants to go out of his house, he doesn't plan that, okay, I'll buy a horse today, or I'll buy an elephant today, or I'll buy a house today, or I'll buy this today. No. But when he goes out, he just sees he likes something, he takes it. And then he goes somewhere else and he likes something and he takes it. So similarly, the Supreme Lord, spontaneously and with a lot of ease, and even without any proper, or even without, there's no question of proper or improper, even without any pre-planning, he just executes his pastimes, and which are perfect in all ways, and it just falls in place, everything. So that is the difference between karma and lila. The question comes, why was Lord Ram taking help from the monkeys to build the Ram Setu? Why did he take help of Hanuman to burn the Lanka? Why did he take help of Angad? If Ram wanted, he could have just moved his eyebrow and Ravan would have disintegrated, would have vanished from material existence completely. But why Lord Ram didn't do that? He didn't do it because he wanted to engage the conditioned souls like us to later hear his nectarian pastimes. Therefore, because we have access to these nectarian pastimes, and when we hear it again and again and again, we feel more and more attracted to Lord Ram. Sometimes the nature of a conditioned soul is when they hear some pastime, oh, Putana pastime, oh, I've heard it. They switch off their brain. Okay, I'll not hear anymore. But the real progress in Krishna consciousness is to hear the same pastime again and again. When we start relishing it, when we start deriving newer and newer lessons from it, that is Krishna consciousness. So, when the Lord brings some drama in his life, we should not doubt the supremacy of the Lord when he's bringing in some drama or some. This is the first disease of the conditioned living entity. They doubt the supremacy of the Lord. Their Shraddha is not fixed up. They are always in a situation. Lord Ram is doing like this. Why? He could have done like that. He could have done like this. Why Lord Krishna is doing this? Why couldn't he do that? And therefore, it's all mythology and things like that. Until and unless we fully agree that God is great, and until and unless we fully agree that yes, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and whatever he does is inconceivable. I'm trying to become a devotee of Krishna. I'm trying to become a devotee of Lord Ram. But until and unless I agree to this fact that whatever they do, whatever the Lord does is inconceivable, that means even beyond the understanding of the human mind and the human thought process. Until and unless I come to the conclusion that my Lord is inconceivable, he just becomes merciful on me and reveals to me the nature of few of his pastimes so that I can relish it. But in a sense, my Lord is inconceivable. Until and unless we come to this conclusion, our Shraddha will not be fixed up. Jiva Goswami comments in his Shat Sandarbhas that if the Lord is not inconceivable, and if we come in the position that we fully understand the pastimes of the Lord, then either one day we will become the Lord, or we will have a tendency of becoming the Lord, or we will make someone else as the Lord. Yeah, because we know fully what the Lord will do in this situation and what he will do in that situation. So this is a disease of the conditioned living. So therefore, the Lord brings in some drama just to make his pastimes look human-like, so that conditioned living entities can take interest in it, hear it again and again and again. And because it is related to Krishna, so the heart gets purified. That is the essence. Now, with this understanding, let's plunge into some discussions, which we have already started. But there's one aspect which I want to discuss. The first aspect which we are trying to discuss is who is Lord Rama. So we are trying to understand who is Lord Rama. Lord Rama is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And whatever he does, he is his Leela. And he is merciful upon us to give us his pastimes with a lot of drama and with lots of ups and downs, so that our fickle mind, which has a tendency to be dissatisfied and unhappy in every situation, finds some reason. Our mind is always looking for a change also. So therefore, the Lord is merciful upon us to bring ups and downs in his pastimes, so that our fickle mind finds some reason to stay glued to his pastimes. And so therefore, he's attracting us in that way. Why did Lord Ram go to the forest? Actually, there is a very, very deep reason behind this. Once when Mother Lakshmi was massaging the lotus feet of Mahavishnu, she said that I'm not happy here doing this service. Lord Narayan was in his Yoga Nidra, and he immediately woke up and he said, "What are you saying? You are Lakshmi, you are my internal energy. You are in constant touch with my lotus feet, that lotus feet for which all the yogis, munis, and the sages are hankering since time immemorial. The dust of my lotus feet is aspired for even by personalities like Brahma and Shiva. And you are in constant touch with it. What to speak of touching it? You are actually massaging my lotus feet every moment. And you are saying that you are not happy." So Mother Lakshmi said, "Yes, I'm not happy here." So Lord Vishnu said, "What do you want?" She says that I want some opportunity of doing ekant seva. I want some solitude. And she explained that although I am with you and you are with me, and although we are together eternally, still, my dear Lord, you have made Anant Shesh as your bed. And if I look up, I see millions and billions of hoods of Anant Shesh, and all the time his eyes are watching both of us. So I don't feel some privacy here. I need some privacy. I want to do some ekant seva. So Lord Narayan, when he heard this, he says that under the present circumstances, I cannot arrange for any more privacy. However, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead will incarnate as Lord Ram, then both of us will be there. I mean, whenever Krishna takes any incarnation, and whenever he enters any particular universe, then all the three Vishnus, Mahavishnu, the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu and Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, they all go with him. So he said then when the Supreme Personality of Godhead will do the pastime of Lord Ram, that time I will arrange some private time where maybe for some years, 14 years or so, we will be we will have some private time on a daily basis. At that time also this Anant Shesh will be there, but he will be there in a different form. And certainly I promise that he will not hinder our privacy. So this is the inception of this forest Vanagaman Leela. It is basically driven. I'm just trying to explain. Many people may say, "Oh, Lord Ram suffered so much in his life." No, actually, this one gaman happened by the sweet will of Ram and Sita themselves. The Supreme Personality of Godhead descends as Lord Chaitanya in the Navadvip, in the present Kali Yuga, in the present Manvantara. So when Lord Ram was there in Navadvip during his pastimes, sitting in Navadvip, he was smiling to himself. Mother Sita asked, "Why are you smiling?" Then Lord Ram said that in this life or in this pastime or in this Leela, let's put it as Leela. In this Leela, we are going to have some specific time where we both will be separated from each other. And I'm going to shed a lot of tears in separation for you, just to experience that transcendental mellow of pain in separation or love in separation. Lord Ram was also hankering to have that mellow. However, in future, when I will appear in Navadvip, that time you are going to spend a lifetime in the pain of separation from me. So in this lifetime, Lord Ram experienced or relished the love in separation through the kidnapping episode of Mother Sita, and later on when Mother Sita, she went back to Godhead, planet Earth. So after that, for the next 11,000 years, Lord Ram was relishing. He ruled the planet for the 11,000 years after Mother Sita dismissed her planetary earthly pastimes. So that period is called Ram Rajya. So at that time, he was relishing this pain of separation, love in separation from Mother Sita. And in the Chaitanya Leela, Lord Chaitanya finishes his pastimes quite early and leaves his wife even much more earlier he leaves his wife Vishnupriya just at the age of 16. And she lives till she is 96 years old. So for a good amount of time, she was feeling that pain in separation from the Supreme Lord. So this one Gaman Leela, which is said that, oh, so much dukh Lord Ram has experienced, is actually the sweet pastimes of the Lord. And a devotee has to look at it in that way. So when Lord Ram and Mother Sita were married, everybody was in bliss. There was no limit to the bliss of Ayodhya. Every step in Ayodhya appeared to be like a dance, and every word appeared like a song. And everybody was in total bliss. And this bliss, due to the presence of Lord Ram and Mother Sita, was such that it was ever increasing every day with newer and newer mellows. So like this, 12 years had passed. And Mother Sita was still waiting. She was telling Lord Ram, I'm still waiting. You had promised me that we'll have some private time. But here in Ayodhya, you are a prince. And you have so many duties. You have so many pastimes to perform. And all your devotees are always with you all the time. Hardly in a day, once or twice, I get to see you also. It's not working. I want a break, Mother Sita told. So Lord Ram said, just have patience. The time is soon coming. And the demigods upstairs or in the higher planetary systems were also getting a little impatient, because they also were seeing they were also being tormented by Ravan and the other evil elements of the planet. So they also tried to interfere, or Lord Ram allowed them to feel that they are interfering. So they intervened using an agent called as Manthara. The word Manthara means churning. So the demigods inspired Manthara to churn the heart of Kaikeyi. She went and told to Kaikeyi that, do you know, Ram is going to become the king? Kaikeyi said, what? This is the best news I have heard. I'm so happy. I'll give you 1,000 cows in charity and these many things and these many clothes. And I make you the queen of so many villages. And she was so happy. So then Manthara was thinking, okay, she's too much of a pure devotee to be agitated. And then she said, do you know what? Lord Ram becoming the king means Bharat will not become the king. And this means that later on, the sons of Lord Ram will only become the king. Kaikeyi said, no problem. That's even more better. All of us will serve him. And then Manthara was getting fully frustrated. At that time, Manthara said, that you know what? If Lord Ram becomes the king, then you will have to serve Kaushalya, because Kaushalya will become Rajmata. Right now you have an equal status, but later on you'll have to sit at the feet of Kaushalya and serve her. When she said this, Kaikeyi got agitated. And in this way, she churned the heart of Kaikeyi. So all this is happening by the divine will of the Supreme Lord. Lord Ram. And then after that, Kaikeyi started experiencing so much distress. At that point of time, she was not a pure devotee. The distress of a pure devotee is that, okay, I'm not able to follow the instructions of my spiritual master. I'm not having sufficient compassion. I'm not able to give my best while chanting Hare Krishna. I'm not able to attend the morning japa sessions. I'm not able to chant my rounds. I'm not able to hear the lectures. I'm not able to be regular to the Gita course. This is how a devotee thinks. But Kaikeyi at that point of time was not thinking like that. And this is all happening by the sweet will and the divine inspiration of Lord Rama, actually. So she was suffering with agyan because she was morose. She was having asakti, that is attachments. And because of attachments, she was having dissatisfaction. And finally, the ahankar or the false ego was making her go crazy. So these are the distresses of a sadhaka. The distresses of a practicing devotee is that they are experiencing agyan, asakti, and ahankar. And this agyan, asakti, and ahankar can only be wiped out in the association of devotees. When we serve the devotees, we can get rid of agyan, asakti, and ahankar, and we can truly assist in the pastimes of Lord Rama with a lot of happiness. We can do anukul bhakti. Even Putana was a part of Lord Krishna's pastime. And even Mother Yashoda was a part of Lord Krishna's pastime. But Putana was not practicing bhakti with a favorable. She seemed to give some pleasure to Lord Krishna while Krishna was sucking the milk and then later on the life force out of her breast. It seems Lord Krishna was happy and therefore he gave him the position of the mother in the spiritual world. However, we cannot call that as pure devotion because her intention was not anukul, or her intention was not to serve Krishna. Similarly, here is Mother Yashoda. She's trying to beat Lord Krishna, but that is giving so much pleasure to Lord Krishna. But in the core of her heart, she's having a desire to actually serve Krishna. So therefore, that is pure devotion. So in the mood of pure devotion, in the mood of anukul bhakti, favorable bhakti, we have to serve Lord Krishna, the devotees of Lord Krishna, and then we'll get rid of this agyan, asakti, and ahankar, and so many things. So all this Shail Purna is explaining to Ramananda. There's a very nice verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, Shashasho Shraddha Dhanasya Vasudeva Katharuchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevana. By serving those devotees whose heart is purified, great service is done. And when we do this great service of serving the great devotees of the Lord, naturally we gain affinity to hear the message of Krishna. Vasudeva Katharuchi. And one who gets Vasudeva Katharuchi, their life becomes successful. So this association of devotees, this satsang, is the only hope to pull a person out of the quicksand of sense gratification. Why I use the word quicksand? Because sense gratification is like a daldal, a quicksand. The more you do, or the more you engage, the more deeper you get caught. And Shraddha is the rope by which we can come out of this daldal. And association of devotees. Sense gratification is the quicksand of material existence, deep dark well of material existence. Shraddha, or complete faith in the holy name of the Lord, in the holy pastimes of the Lord, form and qualities of the Lord in all circumstances. That is the rope by which we can come out. And the association of devotees is the only hope which we have. So specifically speaking, in this case of Kaikeyi, she heard ninda or blasphemy of Vaishnavas, blasphemy of the Supreme Lord. So this ninda acts like a knife which cuts that rope of Shraddha. And therefore, in the Ayodhya of our heart, a huge havoc comes when this Shraddha is cut due to bad association, due to Vaishnava Aparadh, due to Ninda, Vaishnava Ninda, Vaishnava Aparadha. So therefore, we have to be very, very careful. If at all we want to progress in this journey of understanding who is Lord Ram and surrendering to the Supreme Lord, we have to save ourselves from, we have to always be in devotee association. We have to serve the devotees. We have to understand that the Lord's pastimes and the Lord's personality is in us. Then even the Lord cannot forgive us. So we have to be in the association. Second aspect which he was teaching to Ramanujacharya through the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Who am I? Would someone like to answer even before we discuss? Who am I? Who are we? You can just type it in the chat box or Jivatmas. Vamsha Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manashasthani Indriyani Prakriti Sthani Karshati. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that Mamai Vamsha Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. All the living entities are my eternal parts and parcels. There was not a point where we did not exist. There is not a point where we are not existing. And there will never be a situation where we will cease to exist. So the whole theory of Mayavad, where someone says that, okay, I will go and merge in the Supreme Lord, I will also become God and you will also become God. This whole theory is bogus. Because Krishna says, Mamai Vamsha Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Eternally they are my parts. Eternally they are my das. We are all loving servants of Krishna. And we have to, I was saying that we have to do Anukul Bhakti. So that Anukul Bhakti will come when we will do Anyabhilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karma Anavratam, Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam, Bhakti Uttama. Uttama Bhakti means having no desires in the heart. Anyabhilashita Shunyam. No desires in the heart except the desire to serve the Lord and the devotees of the Lord. Anyabhilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karmadhya Anavratam. We have to come up over the mental speculation or hovering on a mental platform, trying to agitate the mind with various theories and arguments. And we have to overcome this attitude of doing so much fruitive, working with so much fruitive mentality, result, this, that, if I do this, I'll get that, if I get that, I'll do this. Maybe 1% I'll give to Krishna. So one has to come above the Jnana and Karma platform. Meaning to say a Jnana yogi cannot understand Krishna and a Karma yogi cannot understand Krishna. Only the Bhakti yogi or the devotee can understand Krishna. So Anyabhilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karmadhya Navatam, Anukulyena Krishna Anushilan. I was telling we have to do Anukul Bhakti. And in that way, we'll be able to fully realize who we are. And then we'll be able to fully serve Lord Ram in his inconceivable sweetness and greatness. So let's try to understand who we are by taking lessons from the devotees of Lord Ram. Our Jivatma, we are Jivatmas, our aim of life is to surrender to Krishna. Let's try to learn this lesson of surrender by observing the various activities which the various devotees of Lord Ram have done. Let's start with Mother Sita. When Lord Ram went and informed Mother Sita that I am going to the forest, certain such thing has happened, Bharat will be the king, I'm going to the forest for 14 years. So at that time, what did Sita say? She says, Yastvaya sahasa sargo, I'm quoting from Valmiki Ramayana, Niryo yastvaya vina, iti janan param pritim gacha ram mayasa. She's telling, please take me with you. Yastvayat sahasa sargo, wherever you are, that is my heaven. That is my swarga. That is my happiness. Iti janan param pritim. Without you, I cannot imagine. So, Gacha Ram Maya Saha, please take me with you. She didn't say that, okay, I'm a princess. I'm Sukumari. And there is a very famous pastime that when Mother Sita was coming in Ayodhya after getting married, so they had laid the pollen dust of the lotus flowers on the way. And they had made a thick covering out of it. And Mother Sita was asked to walk on it. And in the midway, she fainted. She said, these pollen grains are too pricky to my lotus feet. That's how soft she was. She didn't say that, okay, I'm a Sukumari, I'm a princess. Now you carry on. Just let me know, keep me posted. We'll have some WhatsApp messages exchanged. We'll do some video calls, Zoom calls. Let's have a long distance relationship. No, she said, Gacha Rama Maya Saha. And how did she come? She didn't want to come and become a burden. She said, Yadi tvam prasthito durgam vanam adjaiva raghava agrataste gamishyami mridanti kushakantakan. She said that I will walk ahead of you and make your path smooth. My dear Lord Ram, it is not that I will become a burden on you and I will just increase your responsibilities. Your lotus feet are famous in all three worlds to be very soft. That's why Mother Sita, whenever she used to touch Lord Ram's feet, she used to first take her hair and she using her hair as the first surface and her hand as behind the hair. With that, she used to touch the lotus feet of Lord Ram because they were so soft. So she would say that when you would walk in the forest, I will walk in front of you and I will crush all the grains and the stones so that your path becomes smooth. So here Shailapurna is explaining to Ramanujacharya that the real intent of this statement was that don't worry, Lord Ram. The real intent of you going to one is, of course, we want to have private time, but another intent is to kill Ravan. Don't worry, I will go before you to Ravan's place just to build the background, just to make the Prishtbhumi. I'm your servant. Just like a servant comes, when the master wants to go somewhere, the servant comes before and analyzes everything, puts everything in place. So Mother Sita was in that mood. She wanted to go ahead of Ram. She wanted to face the music. She wanted to dutifully perform the duty of a servant. And in that way, she wanted to serve Lord Ram. And Lakshmana, it is mentioned in the Balkand, Lakshmana's personality is amazing. There's no limit to which we can derive lessons from the life of Lakshmana. It is said in the Balkand, in the Valmiki Ramayana, Sarva Priya Karah Tasya Ramasya Api Shariratah Lakshmano Lakshmi Sampanno Bahi Prana Iva Paraha. So Lakshmana found Lord Ram, Sarva Priya Karah Tasya Ramasya Api Shariratah. When he would simply adore Ram, and he found him the most attractive personality in the whole creation. And when Ram would be walking around or simply staying around him, he would see at Lord Ram that he's my pran. Bahi prana iva paraha. He would see that, yes, my life is not within me. This is my life. My life is walking in front of me. My life force is running in front of me, doing pastimes in front of me. And what was his wealth? Lakshmano Lakshmi Sampanno. Lakshmana had the opulence or the wealth of bhakti. He had the wealth of devotion to Lord Ram. He was service personified. This wealth, this wealth is the real wealth of the Jivatma. We are trying to understand who am I. So this is the real message of Ramayana. We have to understand that my real wealth is service. Prabhujis and Matajis, please take note that whatever other wealth which you have, I'm not going to name it now, you know it. Whatever other wealth which you have, be it your beauty, be it your strength, be it your knowledge, be it your degrees, be it your relationships, be it your social prestige, be it your strength, be it your influence, be it your money, be it your resources, be it your whatever, fame, name, every wealth at some point or the other time, someday or another, is going to prick you. All this so-called wealth, in accumulation of which we have spent our lifetimes, is ultimately going to prick us someday or the other. But the wealth of bhakti, the wealth of service to the Supreme Lord, is the only wealth which gives us lasting peace. And this wealth is Akshaya wealth. It never gets exhausted, and it saves us from degrading into the lower species of life, and it ensures association of devotees lifetime after lifetime. So this is the wealth which we should be really behind. And Lakshmana was the personification of that wealth. Lakshmano Lakshmi Sampanna. So the real Lakshmi is the wealth of service to the Supreme Lord. Consider the position of Lakshmana. Lakshmana was a Kshatriya. Now, a Kshatriya has that Ishwar Bhav. He needs something to rule upon. He cannot simply stay in the servitude of someone. Therefore, when Lord Krishna came as a peace messenger to Dhritarashtra, he said, give Indraprastha back to the Pandavas. But the Pandavas, but Duryodhana denied. We all know that pastime. So Krishna came down to the level, okay, if you don't want to give them Indraprastha, just give them some 5 villages. They need something to rule. Their prescribed duty is to rule. But Lakshmana never ruled anything. His only desire was to rule the heart of Lord Rama. In fact, that was also not what he wanted. Lord Ram was his everything. And he wanted to rule his senses. He wanted to rule the desires for sense gratification. These were his subjects. He was teaching us that a servant should rule his mind, should rule his senses, should rule the desires for sense gratification. And in this way, come on the Anyabhilashita Shunyam platform and thereby serve Lord Ram. Lakshmana was teaching us that. So basically, Lakshmana demonstrates the eternal duty of a soul. Lakshmana is teaching us his pastimes. And what was the nature of his surrender to Lord Ram? When Sumantra was dropping Ram, Lakshmana, and Sita at the foothills of the forest, at the border of the forest. At that time, Sumantra asked that, do you have any message for Dashrath? So Ram gave some message, Sita gave some message. But Lakshmana said that, go and tell everybody that from this day, Dashrath is not my father. Bharat is not my brother. I have no relationship with Kaikeyi and others. From this day onwards, Lord Ram is my only brother, my only father, my only mother, my only friend, my everything. So Lakshmana was teaching that the priority should be to serve the Lord. And in the service, one should be ready to give up their own father, their own brother, their own mothers, their own property, their own kingdoms, their own priorities, their own ideas, and their own opinions to serve the Lord. This is what lesson we can derive from the pastimes of Lakshmana. And Lakshmana did not sympathize with those people who had done an offense against Lord Ram. He said, no, I have nothing to do with them. My priority is to serve the Lord. My father cannot come in that way. My mother cannot come in that way. My wife cannot come in that way. My kingdom cannot come in that way. My Kshatriya mood cannot come in that way. My opinions cannot come in that way. My life is meant for surrender and service. And I have no sympathy with all the aparadhis also who are sitting back in Ayodhya. That was the mood of Lakshmana with which he was serving. So when we follow in the footsteps of Mother Sita and Lakshman, we'll be able to understand, who am I? I'm a servant of the Lord. And in following in their footsteps, we'll be able to surrender to them. So we have discussed 2 aspects. Who is Lord Ram? And who am I? The third goal, or the third aspect which I want to discuss is, which Sri Shailapurna is very nicely discussing with Ramanujacharya, is what is our goal? What is the goal of human life? The goal, okay, let's again take a poll. What do you think is the goal? Type in the chat box. What do you think is the goal? What is the goal of human form of life? Go back home, back to Godhead. Okay, any other goal? Okay, there's only one goal. Serve the Lord, yes. This is a more well-refined goal. To achieve Brahma Gyan, okay. Devotion, break the cycle of birth and death. How about achieving the love of God? Yes, develop love for Krishna. Yes. Because if you achieve that, then as Chitraketu or is praying in the Srimad Bhagavatam, he's saying, Narayana parasarve nar kutaschana bibhyati swarga apvarga narkeshu apitulyartha darshanam. Those who have developed love of God, those who are devotees of the Lord, those who have developed love of God, Narayana parasarve nar kutaschana bibhyati. It doesn't matter where they are, whether they are in Swarga or whether they are in Narka. For them, everything is the same. And similarly, Lord Chaitanya is also praying, Na janam, na dhanam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamai, mama janmani janmanishware bhavatad bhakti rahit. Lord Chaitanya is telling, I don't want fan followers. I don't want money. I don't want a beautiful spouse. I do not want to become a scholar. I want nothing. I don't even want liberation. I don't even want breakage from the cycle of birth and death. What do I want? Mama janmani janmanishware bhavatad bhaktir ahetuki. I just want the facility to render unmotivated and undeviated, loving devotional service to you, oh my Lord, irrespective of the circumstances, in the association of your devotees. So this is love of God. So basically, Lord Chaitanya, in his Shikshastakam, he's asking love of God. So the goal of human life is to, of course, achieve love of God. Prema. Those who have prema, certainly they go back home, back to Godhead. There's no denying that. So, I would now like to highlight what does it really mean to achieve the love of God by taking the example of Bharat. All this conspiracy is going on. Lord Ram is being sent to the forest. Bharat had no role to play in this. The word Bharat, basically, the Valmiki Ramayana defines Bharata Rajya Bharanti Vibharti iti Bharata. So basically, Bharat means one who carries a heavy load on him all the time. So when Bharat came back from the Caucasian regions where Keikei belonged, Keikei appeared to be from the European part of the planet. So when he came back from there, everybody was accused. He had nothing to do, but everybody was accusing him for the reason for the departure of Lord Ram from Ayodhya. Everybody blamed him. Vashishta doubted him. Lakshmana doubted him. Citizens doubted him. Everybody criticized him. But he had nothing to do with it. But please kindly consider the greatness of Bharat. He had to practice devotional service with the burden of being misunderstood. He had to practice pure devotional service to the Lord in the climate of criticism. This is love of God. In the 8th verse of Shikshastakam, Lord Chaitanya is playing Aslishtasya vapadaratam pinastumam adarshanan marma hatam karotu yatha tatha va vidadhatu lampato mat prananathastu saivanata. O Krishna, whether you become present before me and roughly and embrace me roughly and make me happy, or you make me broken-hearted by eternally being absent in front of me, you are free to do anything and everything which you want. My bhakti is not such that I am giving conditions that, okay, Krishna, I will serve you only when you take me back home, back to Godhead, or Krishna, I will serve you only if you improve my health. Krishna, I will serve you only if you protect me from corona. Krishna, I will serve you only if you save my son or daughter or this. No. In all circumstances, Krishna, you are free to do whatever you want. In all circumstances, you are my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. So Bharat, in the climate of criticism, in the atmosphere of being misunderstood by everybody, was practicing Krishna consciousness, was rendering pure devotional service to Lord Rama. This is the nature of prema. Pragad premera ei swabhave achar. Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Pragad premera ei swabhave achar, nij dukh vignadi na kare vichar. This is the symptom of pure love. That whatever personal inconveniences, dissatisfaction, and problems I am going through, I will not consider that. I will only consider the happiness of my beloved. Just like the gopis. They didn't consider anything. They just wanted Krishna to be happy. And they didn't want anything in return from him. That's all. So in that atmosphere, Bharat was performing devotional service. And this is the beauty of the pastimes of Bharat, the pastimes of Ramayana. They teach us that our bhakti should be ahaituki and apratihata. Our devotion should be unconditional and unmotivated. That is the original dharma of this kind of consciousness will lead us to Krishna prema. Bharata had a responsibility to administer a divided kingdom. Huge part of the kingdom used to think Bharat is responsible. One part of the kingdom would think, oh, Bharat is not responsible. Just to avoid dissension in Ayodhya, Bharat was staying outside Ayodhya in a place called Nandigram. And he was practicing austerities, just like Lord Ram was practicing austerities in the forest. Lord Ram was practicing austerities on the order of his father, but Bharat got no such order. Out of love for the Supreme Lord, out of affection and attraction towards the Supreme Lord, on his own he was doing everything. So consider his greatness. Sometimes when he would go to have bath at 3 a.m. in the morning, the citizens of Ayodhya would also come to have bath there. When the citizens would wake up, they would see, oh, my Lord Ram is not there in Ayodhya. Yesterday night, I sincerely prayed that, please, I don't want to be alive. Please kill me. But now I've again woken up and I'm still alive. I have to spend another day in separation of Lord Ram. This was the mood of the people of Ayodhya. In that depression, spiritual depression, they would go to have bath, and when they would see Bharat in that anxiety, they would pick up stones and hit Bharat. And Bharat's head would bleed. And Bharat, being the Maharaj, being the king of Ayodhya, couldn't tell them anything because they were in spiritual anxiety. They were experiencing the pain of separation from Lord Ram. So just to avoid them, Bharat used to come at 2 a.m. in the morning just to have bath. And he stayed outside Ayodhya. This is prema. So we all have to understand that the love of God is not something very cheap. This is prema pumartho mahan. This is the most prized jewel or most prized possession which someone can have. And we have to learn from Bharat, irrespective of the criticism which he was getting, irrespective of the basically the misunderstanding which was there. He was simply doing his task of serving Lord Ram. He tried to go and meet Lord Ram also. But Lord Ram was in a different mood. He wouldn't hear. So Bharat was looking at the padukas of Lord Ram. And he was thinking, Lord Ram holds the entire creation on him. And these padukas are holding Lord Ram. You, Paduka, you are a devotee of Lord Ram. You are serving Lord Ram. Lord Ram is not listening to me and coming back to Ayodhya. You please listen to me. So therefore, Lord Ram gave his paduka. So lesson to be learned from this pastime that the devotees of the Lord are more merciful than the Lord. So when we are facing difficulties on the path of achieving love of God, we should take shelter of the devotees of the Lord. And that is the only ointment which we have against our own anarthas. So, in this way, I discussed 3 aspects from the conversation of Sri Shailapurna and Sri Ramanujacharya. First aspect was, who is Lord Ram? Then we understood who am I, who are we, and then we understood the goal of our life is Krishna Prema, and we have to achieve it by the execution of Ahaituki Apratihata Bhakti under the shelter of the devotees of the Lord. Now, the fourth aspect and the last aspect which I want to discuss, there are many aspects in this conversation, but the fourth aspect which I want to discuss today is how to attain this goal of prema and make complete surrender to the Lord. Again, we will take an audience poll. You can type in the chat box and let us know how to attain this love of God. It's so wonderful. Just think of the personality Bharat. Just think of great devotees like Srimati Radharani and residents of Vrindavan. How to attain it? Okay, devotees are saying we have to chant the holy names of the Lord. Yes. Any other way? Before I actually the answer. Chanting, yes. Thinking of him at all times. Nam Lakshmi Hasni Mataji is telling. She's remembering that verse of Bhagavad Gita. Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. This is the primary and the most important rule in Krishna consciousness. Service to God, very nice. Unconditional services, very nice. Navavidha Bhakti, 9 processes of devotional service following God, respecting his devotees. Yeah. So this is the point which we have to understand here. That the easiest and the most functional way by which we can become or walk in the footsteps of Bharat, where he was executing bhakti in an atmosphere of criticism and in a climate of misunderstanding. The easiest way to execute bhakti, which is apratihata and ahaituki, is by following or listening or surrendering to the spiritual master and the Vaishnavas and the Shastra which is there. Specifically the Vaishnavas and the spiritual master. Once Srila Prabhupada was asked by his disciples that Srila Prabhupada, we are born in Lecha families, we have done no good work. Neither our parents have done any good work. How is it that we are now practicing Krishna consciousness and we are now practicing direct devotional service and we are participating in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya? How did we ever get this fortune? Srila Prabhupada said, yes, I have created your fortune. So similarly, the devotees of Krishna, they create our fortune. The Lord respects the free will of a jivatma. He does not interfere. But although he's very anxious to have people back home, back to Godhead, the devotees, being the Manobhishtam, Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam, the devotees understanding the mind of Lord Chaitanya, the mind of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Ram, Lord Krishna, they come out of their way and they go out and preach. And they convince the Jivatmas to surrender back and develop the love of God, develop the service movement. They give them their association. The devotees go out and give the association to the conditioned living entities. By the mercy of Krishna, one gets a guru, and by the mercy of Guru, one gets Krishna. Brahmand Brahmite Kauno Bhagyavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade Paye Bhakti Lata Beej. So Guru is very, very important. Guru Krishna Prasade Paye Bhakti Lata Beej. So very rarely, when we are in this 84 lakh ka chakkar, when we are in this wandering in this 84 million species of life, and all our lifetimes have been just an absurd tale of sense gratification. That's all. Our life is an absurd history. I would like to rephrase myself. Our life is just an absurd, repetitive, insane history of sense gratification. In this way or in that way, or in this way. And we have passed so many lifetimes from there. Very rarely By great fortune, we get the association of a spiritual master. And by the mercy of the spiritual master, we get the Bhakti Lata Bij in our heart, the seed of devotion, which we have to nourish with the watering process, by the process of hearing and love of God. If one ignores perspective of service to Guru, Sugriva, when he saw that on the Gandhamadhan Parvat, towards the find out. And when Hanuman found out, okay, these are Dashrath Nandan, they are Raghukul Shiromanis coming. And when he brings them to Sugriva, but he made sure that Sugriva understood this point. So therefore, when Lord Ram agreed to help him, actually, when Lord Ram comes, he breaks a branch from a tree. Sugriva breaks a branch from a tree and gives it to Lord Ram. So Hanuman only makes a separate arrangement for sitting for Lakshmana. And Lord Ram has observed this. He sees that he is directly trying to approach me without taking the shelter of the Guru, fighting with each other. At that time, in the first attempt, now this is just not an ordinary statement, doesn't simply mean that both of them are twins. So, okay, it has a deeper meaning. And Valmiki and the Acharyas, especially Sri Shailapur, so much beauty, he had so much money, he had so much opulence, he had so much fame. He had defeated Ram. Meaning to say, Sri Shailapurna is explaining to fame, strength, beauty, money, and so many things. They do not impress the Lord. For him, Bali has also never surrendered to a spiritual master, and Sugriva has also not surrendered. So both of them are same. So then Lord Ram tells Lakshmana that Lakshmana, you give a garland to him, the Vijay Mala. And then that garland is the prasad of Guru. Because to receive that garland, Sugriva touched the feet of Lakshmana, and Lakshmana embraced him. So when he got the prasad of, and after that, gradually, Sugriva attained the love of God. He became such a nice servant of Lord Ram that he was ready to fight with Ravan single-handedly at the cost of his life, simply because he couldn't bear that Lord Ram was going through so much struggles just to get Mother Sita back. And all this happened because he took shelter of Lakshmana, or he took shelter of the Guru Tattva. So this was another most important aspect, or one of the important aspects of the conversation of Sri Shailapurna and Ramanujacharya. Krishna directly to attain the love of God. The franchisee of love of God was to become a servant of the servant of the servant, to access that very easily. I would like to end this discussion by highlighting just 4 aspects from this transcendental conversation. We discussed who is Lord Ram. We understood that the drama which the Lord brings in, he upsets the conditioned living entities, but our Shraddha in those pastimes should be fixed with the understanding that his pastimes are inconceivable. There is a difference between karma, and we should understand that Vaishnava Ninda and Vaishnava Aparadha is the biggest knife which can cut the rope of Shraddha and sink us in the quicksand of sense gratification. And the association of devotees is the only hope. The second aspect is, who am I? I am the eternal, separated part and parcel of Krishna, and I'm the eternal servant of Krishna. We have to learn from the mood of Mother Sita how she was a perfect servant. She was not a burden on Lord Ram. And we have to learn from Lakshmana. He was ready to give up his father, mother, wife, and everything for the service of Lord Ram. Lakshmano Lakshmi Sampanno, Bahi Prana Iva Para. His only wealth was service to Lord Ram. So all other wealth which we have is ultimately going to prick us someday or the other. And the only wealth which will save us lifetime after lifetime is this wealth of bhakti and service. This is the second aspect. The third aspect is the goal of life is to attain love of God. And what does it mean to have love of God? We understood from the character and the pastimes of Bharat. And lastly, how to attain this love of God? It can only be attained by the mercy of the spiritual master and the devotees of the Lord. We have to serve them. We cannot approach Krishna directly. We cannot approach Lord Ram directly. We have to first go through the Guru Tattva. And lastly, let's try to meditate on the all-compassionate mood of Lord Ram. There's a very famous statement. Sakrad eva prapanno yas tavasmi iti chayachate. Abhayam sarvada tasmai dadamye tadvratam mama. When Vibhishana was trying to explain to Ravan that you are doing a wrong thing, please give Mother Sita back. Ravana, being inspired by lusty desires, threw Vibhishana out of the kingdom. And Vibhishana came to surrender to Lord Rama. Just like Uddhava was asking, that although 33 crore demigods every day offer obeisances to you, but it is very bewildering to me, O Lord Krishna, to see that in your previous pastime, you were taking help from monkeys, you were listening to their strategies and advices and following it also. So Lord Ram was executing those pastimes. He started taking advice from everybody. That tell me, what should I do? Should I accept Vibhishana? Sugriv said, no. He's a Rakshasa. How can there be a mango growing on a neem tree? But then Lord Ram rejected his submission by saying, Sakrad eva prapanno yas tavasmi iti chayachati abhayam sarvada tasmai dadamye tradvatam mama. Lord Ram said that it is my sacred vow that if somebody, anybody, who irrespective of who he is, if they surrender to me only once by saying, O Lord Ram, from this day I'm yours. If he just says it, even once, then from that day onwards, I take complete charge of his material and spiritual life. So I will request all of you to join your hands and kindly repeat, my dear Lord Ram, from this day, I'm yours. So in this way, from this moment, Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has taken full charge of our material and spiritual lives, and he will award us the courage, and he will always keep us safe. So at that time, Sugriv had asked that, my dear Lord, Vibhishana has come here, and you have accepted him. Is this the limit of your mercy? Lord Ram smiled and said, no. Even if Ravan comes now, I'll accept him also. And Sugriv was bewildered. He said, my dear Lord, you have already made Vibhishana as Lankapati. If Ravan comes, what will you do? What will you give him? Lord Ram said, I will give him Ayodhya. If he comes and surrenders to me saying, O Lord Ram, from this day I'm yours, I'll give him Ayodhya. Then Sugriv asked, what will you do with Bharat and others who are presently the Maharaj of Ayodhya? Lord Ram says, I'll give the whole of Vaikuntha to Bharat. And then Sugriva, with tears in his eyes, he asked Lord Ram, what will you do? Where will you rule, my dear Lord? He says, I will just rule the heart of Hanuman and other devotees like yourself. So hearing this, Sugriv, his hair started standing on his head, and he was completely in tears, and he said, my dear Lord, these statements are completely fitting your magnanimous personality, your magnanimous, inconceivable, divine personality, all compassionate personality. So this is the mood of Lord Ram. He's ready to go to any extent to give us his mercy. So on this Wednesday, there is Ram Navami. Let's be very, very spiritually happy, satisfied, hearing the pastimes of Lord Ram. Let's be spiritually charged up and motivated, deriving principles of learnings from the pastimes of Lord Ram, and more importantly, from the pastimes of the devotees of Lord Ram. And let's all always stay in the association of devotees, hearing Hari Katha and Hari Kirtan, and always chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for such a wonderful class. I was hearing it was so intense, talking about Bharat and all the devotees and the pastime of Vali and Sugriv, and especially the last part of how Lord accepts everyone and gives fearlessness. So this is a good start for preparing the consciousness for Ram Navami. We are really grateful to you. And I would request all the devotees, all the participants present here to express your gratitude by commenting or putting something in the chat box. What did you like from today's session? It would be very nice to read that. Or how was the session? Obviously, it was wonderful, but still. Yes. So, Lord Ram, I'm yours from today. Jai. So, let's pray for His Grace Acyuta Arjunasakha Prabhu so that he's always empowered and he fulfills the desire of his spiritual master of preaching as much as possible and making more and more devotees, especially becoming a good instrument to make Bangalore the first Krishna conscious city. So let us all pray for him by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Achyut Prabhu, thank you very much. Now I can see those wonderful comments saying the session was wonderful and the points which they are mentioning are also really wonderful. Thank you very much for intensifying the devotional service, the mood of devotional service of all the participants. Thank you very much, Prabhu. So Achyut Prabhu has got a class now at 7:30. He's already late for it. Thank you. So today's session was an appetizer for the Ram Navami festival. From tomorrow, for 3 days, we have got intense Ram Katha for all of you all, so that we all intensify our mood and to understand that how can we attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead this very lifetime. Yes. So from tomorrow, for 3 days, we have this session. So this is the poster here. So Ram Katha starting from tomorrow, 19th, then 19th, then 20th and 21st, 3 days at 7:30. Mostly it will be for 1 hour, 7:30 to 8:30. And the speaker is His Grace Mathuradish Prabhuji. So you all have been hearing me from quite some time, and many of you appreciate my classes and the points which I make, etc. I keep getting a lot of comments from your side, compliments from your side. But then the source from where I get all these is from this personality, whom I consider my Shiksha Guru. So from him, all these things I have learned. His Grace Mathuradish Prabhuji. So you have been hearing me. Now hear the actual boss. You hear the right person. So he'll be speaking for 3 days. He has taken out time from his busy schedule on my request, and he has accepted to give class. So I request all of you all to make sure that you are there in Zoom class. YouTube obviously will be there, but then in Zoom. Yeah, but one thing is there that the class will be in Hindi, but then we'll also have translation. We'll have devotee translating. So we'll have a breakout room where all the devotees who need English translation, they'll be shifted there and there'll be English translation going on. So I request all of you all that please don't miss this. It's a very, very wonderful opportunity for 3 continuous days to hear from a pure devotee. So please be there. And next Sunday, we'll be sending messages in all the groups immediately. Sriram Prabhu, you can circulate. And next Sunday, we're going to have a session, actually a session of Gita course. So we're going to start a session called Guru and Disciple. But before that, I thought, let's have a nice session on Srila Prabhupada. And we have an amazing devotee in our congregation. His name is His Grace Yugal Kishore Prabhuji. And he gives amazing session on this Jagat Guru, Srila Prabhupada. And I requested him today. Today, when the session started, I called him up and I was requesting him that, can you please come? You have not come even once to our Gita course. So please come and please enlighten our participants by your speech. So he's agreed. We are very fortunate to have him. He's one of the senior members in the congregation. So I request all of you all that please don't miss next Sunday. Sunday evening, we'll be having a session exclusively talking about glories of Srila Prabhupada. And once we understand this, once we understand about Srila Prabhupada, then it will be easy for us to understand the session Guru and Disciple. What are the qualities of Guru? We already discussed that, but now in more detail. And more importantly, what are the qualities of a disciple? So this is the topic which we're going to start on next Sunday with the kickstart of the topic with Srila Prabhupada's glories. And then after that, the Sunday coming after that, we'll start with the glories or the qualities of Guru and disciple. So these are the announcements for next week. I request all of you all that on the day of Ram Navami, that is Wednesday, we can fast till noon 12 noon, afternoon 12, okay? And at 12 o'clock, we can offer prayers to the Lord and we can break our fast. So it's a day where we can intensify our mood of devotion service. Anyone who is going to hear the Ram Katha that is going to start from tomorrow will surely have an intense mood towards Lord Ram, towards Lord Krishna on Wednesday for sure, no doubt about that. So chanting more rounds on that particular day is what is recommended. Appearance day of Lord is very, very important. And when we do devotional service, more devotional service on that day, we get a lot of benefit. So I request all of you all, be very, very greedy. Be very, very greedy to grab this offer that Lord gives every year. So with this, we would like to stop today's session. We'll do mantra meditation and then we'll end for today. I request all of you all that please switch on your videos and take your beats. And by the way, next Saturday, I forgot to tell, next Saturday is the felicitation of second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So all the ones who have not completed the quiz, please go ahead and complete. So there are two ways. One is in every YouTube video in the description block of second chapter, you have got a link for quiz. You can complete the quiz there. Or all the quizzes are at one place in the WordPress website. That is one website which we have posted in the groups. Every day we're going to post anyways. So please register yourself first in that website. And after that, start attempting the quiz if you have not. Till Saturday, you have time. Till Saturday morning, you have got time. Saturday evening is the felicitation. So I request all of you all that please attempt the quiz and get the certificate for the same. Please repeat. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Let us all chant together, remembering the merciful mood of Lord Ram. Anyone who tells that I am yours, he accepts that person. So through our chanting, let's tell the Lord that I am yours. Let us all start chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. So thank you very much for being part of today's session. Let's meet tomorrow at 7:30 and relish Ram Katha even more intensely. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.